Hi, thanks for you're bailing me out of here. We've been having a most interesting discussion beforehand because one of the things about television is that if you talk about what you're going to talk about beforehand, your guests aren't going to talk about it because they already did talk about it. So you're going to be saying, well, what do you think about, the situation in Rwanda? Oh, they'll say. And then you have to feed them what they said. Oh, you mean that, the Tutsi, and this and that. So we were having a good time just talking about ducks, the exigencies of love amongst the duck kingdom. And, I guess Mickey Mouse is eventually going. Oh, Gracie Gatto's here as my co-host.
Hi.
Then we'll introduce the guest.
Hello.
Oh, we need a little more wide shot there, Brendan.
I know, I gained weight from COVID, so you need the wider shot.
Although the squeeze effect is kind of funky, But, yeah, we were talking about the exigencies of love about ducks.
Ducks.
And when Winnie the Pooh, who the Wpyp-Tv people, I read the story about, inspired by Winnie the Pooh last week, based on libertarian principles. But, he is now not in copyright, so I didn't have to call him Heiny the Pooh. I could have called him Winnie the Pooh.
When did that copywriting happen?
He's from 1926, so he's out of copyright now.
He's public domain now?
Right, just him and the original stories. You can't use the art or stuff. Well, you can't use the Disney stuff. But Mickey Mouse is going to become out of copyright. We have another guest here, and she's looking at me like she's talking to who I'm just about to say. My favorite Disney character was Donald Duck when I was a kid. Because when we were kids, there's only 3 networks, and you watch Disney, and I like Donald Duck. Mickey Mouse never did anything.
You remind me of Donald Duck. You have the same kind of when you get mad.
But I thought the character that most people say is Goofy.
No, I don't see Goofy. I see Donald in you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of
And
like
I don't think that's a compliment either. I wouldn't take it.
What, Gracie, you're the co-host. Why don't you introduce our guest?
All right, we have Tony.
Tony LaBranche, state rep, who I thought was 21, but you're 20.
We are wrong.
I am indeed.
Yeah.
And we have Robin Partello joining us today.
Hello.
Who I guess triggered the duck conversation, but we're not going to go there.
Oh, ba-dum-dum-tsh.
We have to get.
Get your phone out of here, Johnny.
Yes, we got to turn off phones. Well, Tony LaBranche. Tony LaBranche. Or is it
LaBranche.
LaBranche? Well, I'm John Claude. I'm part of the Chassis clan of Maine. It goes Maine. Tell us about why you were in the news recently.
So recently, I made the important decision to leave the Democratic Party. I had been elected as a Democrat to the State House, and I had been serving as a member of the New Hampshire Democratic Party's State Committee for 2 years now. And what I saw at the New Hampshire Democratic Party was a pattern of an undemocratic system. We saw Chairman Buckley, who, strong-armed individuals into voting for him last New Hampshire Democratic Party officer election. And what I often had to ask myself is, what has the New Hampshire Democratic Party done for me?
Let's go back a little. You said you've been on the committee for 2 years?
That is correct.
So you were started at 18. How did you get involved how did you get involved in politics? I went to Boston University when I was 18 because it had the best political science faculty. It had Howard Zinn, the famous Howard Zinn of A People's History. And basically, the most I got to do was I was there for the United Farm Workers going to supermarkets to boycott the grapes because the UFW hadn't been recognized. And so that's about all I did. But you are a state rep, something I was never able to achieve. What got you involved in politics at this level?
I would say...
Yeah, how did you rise so quickly? And I'm not saying that to be an ass or anything, but it is something to be 18.
Thank you.
And on the committee, and then
so
state rep.
This started many years ago. It started 10 years ago, actually, almost to the day, because at age 10, on February 14th, I was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer.
Oh,
So
jeez.
I had to deal with the American healthcare system, which I often call an extortion system because, I was dealing with such a devastating medical diagnosis, and, it nearly bankrupted my family. And just seeing the medical bills come in and actually reading them in detail is when I got pissed, because Massachusetts General Hospital was charging $40 for a single Tylenol.
Right.
One Tylenol. That means $80 per dose for a 7-day stay at the hospital. They made about $1,000 off of Tylenol alone, when I could buy that same bottle of Tylenol for $7.99 across the street at CVS.
And let's just say there's something unique in your experience because your parents are natives of Quebec and Canada. I have ancestors that came out of Quebec, but in 1880s and 1890s. But so Health Canada is what would be put down as socialized medicine, but the Canadians that have it are grateful that they do have it, aren't they?
Yes.
And your parents, it must have been a shock.
Yes, for sure, because as somebody who goes back to Quebec almost every other month, I go see my grandparents and my family up there, and they only have nice things to say about the Canadian healthcare system, because no matter their level of income, no matter anything, they can have access to care.
Right.
They don't have to worry about when am I going to be able to see the doctor, because there's always a doctor there for them. While here in the United States, we oftentimes, if you don't have enough money, then you can't get the level of care that everybody could get in Quebec.
Right, and I lived in Germany, and so I know the French and the German systems are excellent too. And an American friend of mine was in France, had her appendix out, had the appendix out. It didn't cost her that much, and so go on. But that was, but you recovered.
I did.
It's in remission.
I'm now going to be 9 years in remission right now, and it'll be 10 years by the end of the year.
That's great.
Which hopefully that maintains itself. But
so your life became focused.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I was 10 years old dealing with the American healthcare system, I had a renewed sense of purpose in life, because I thought nobody should be extorted simply for wanting to live. Because I'm 10 years old and they're extorting my family and myself just because I want to live. And just imagining what other people are going through. We have, the system's making money off dying and injured individuals. And that to me is just immoral and disgusting. So I made it my life's purpose to at least ameliorate the situation here in the United States, because nobody should have to go through what I had to go through at age 10.
Yeah, I remember in 1971, my brother was afflicted with internal bleeding. My mother is a single mother, and she's got making $50 a week as a secretary on Blue Cross. I can still see her face after 50 some odd years. How do I pay for? How am I going to pay for this? And that's an added burden. Your son might be dying, and then that.
Yeah.
And it's.
GoFundMe's, I think it's the third most used.
For
insurance.
Insurance,
yeah,
if you
basically.
would.
right, and I hate to pick on Republicans. We have
a Republican on the panel today, Robin.
but when they're in Congress, I guess you can't discharge medical bills in bankruptcy, or they've limited that ability to do that, which is outrageous.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
that's
like they
what,
did
that's what
student
people
loans.
used to do, is run up their medical bills and then file bankruptcy, and it's discharged.
Well, it's not like you're running up if you have cancer.
Well,
My father had
not
cancer.
intentionally,
right.
but
Yeah.
because of the way the system or the hospitals work, because he is right. I mean, when I saw my medical bills after having a child, I was blown away.
Yeah.
And what do you do if you are in fact pregnant and you don't have insurance? He's right. the
They
system-
charge you. I don't know about you, but I gave birth in Los Angeles, right? And they gave me a half-used can of spray the pain away stuff. For like jocks use it, but for your crotch, and it's half used and it's like almost empty.
No, thank you.
Did you have one of those? And
No.
they just passed it around the maternity ward. Yeah.
We don't do that here in New Hampshire.
Okay, so it's just California then.
Not yet.
But I had to pay for a full can when I got like that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
And
not
how
cool.
much was it?
I don't know. I don't remember. I remember being mad about the itemized expenses. Like,
Oh yeah, and he's right. Ibuprofen,
yeah,
Tylenol.
it adds up. Oxygen adds up too.
It just
Air.
Well, I just want to say, we had a show. One of my friends wrote a book about a minute is a day by a emergency room doctor in the Bronx handling COVID, and just talk about a drama, constantly evolving. But the people were Hispanic and black, poorest of the poor, and the only.
Gee, thank you.
Sorry.
We're
Well,
the
we're talking
I
about.
know, I don't have to.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm sorry. No, that was kind of. But
I'm the Latino in the room, so.
right,
Yeah.
and the thing is that these poor people, they were poor people. The only medical care, like I have a primary care doctor, the only medical care contact they had were emergency room doctors, and because of the lack of care, the people, because there is a higher mortality of COVID amongst like poor Latinos, poor blacks.
Poor.
Well, no, because that's
I know.
what we're really
Yeah.
meant, and because they don't have the access to medical care,
Yeah.
and so when they are coming in, they've already got all these preconditions that are making it far worse. And these were like primarily like white Jewish doctors, because it was a hospital created by a Jewish charity 100 years ago when it was a Jewish neighborhood, and they're dedicated to these people in this community, and but the lack of health care that poor people have access to, it has just probably made this pandemic far worse.
Well, I saw on my town Facebook page that a lot of people are experiencing just that. That if you go to an emergency room, the wait is 8 to 10 hours, and then they can't find a bed for you, and it's
Yeah.
just it's gotten.
I
out of hand.
I had COVID. I just got over COVID,
Mm.
and I probably should have gone to the ER. Thinking back, because it was a Wednesday. I remember I called you, and I couldn't breathe, and I remember thinking I was seriously going to die today. And I never had a cold or flu where that was even going to come into question. You felt terrible, but you never felt like you were going to pass away, and that was a real concern. COVID is real.
Well, this is the new
strain.
strain.
I had the
think
Omicron. I got the scary sounding one.
The new
Omicron.
one.
This one sounds far worse than the first
Delta
strain.
and something
It's
else.
just it's knocking people out for 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, I was
know?
sick for about 3 weeks.
So we'll get back to Tony, because you're offering us a whole a way to frame a narrative. And so when did you become politically active? I would assume you became politically active in school.
That is correct. I became politically active in 8th grade following the Bernie
Right.
Sanders campaign. He really
There you
inspired
go.
me because he finally spoke to me about there should not be greed in healthcare. It should be about treating sick people. It should be about treating everybody. It should not be about let's care about the insurance industry and the shareholders of that industry. Let's
Yeah.
actually do what is right for everybody, not just the special interests that fund, I hate to say it, both parties. So that's
Well,
why
they do fund both parties.
nothing
And,
changes.
and big pharma too.
Yeah.
Insurance companies started taking over doctors' practices, and I've been told the last independent practice in Manchester was like 3 years ago. It's gone. Yeah, so the doctor doesn't dictate your care; it's the insurance company.
That's correct, because even when I need to get my prescription sometimes, I have to call my doctor so that he can yell at the insurance or whoever's on the other side of the phone to say he needs this prescription or he needs this level of care. It's not negotiable because, as I said earlier, I had stage 3 colon cancer and it was caused by a rare genetic condition, so I still have to go every year to get my colonoscopy. And at one point, the insurance was like, why does this kid need a colonoscopy? He's 20 years old. And it's like,
Yeah.
Kidding
well,
me?
if you actually look at the medical history, you'd know why, but obviously they're just there to limit care.
Exactly.
Whew.
Yeah, I just have to say about the Obama care, I always called that the No Health Insurance Company Left Behind Act.
Yeah.
Thought that's all they could get through at the time,
Yeah.
you know.
And I would say that Obamacare, although far from the best thing in the world, still helped me as an individual because it removed limits on how much could be covered. And I believe my dad's union insurance went up to $1 million. And as someone with stage 3 colon cancer, we reached that $1 million limit pretty fast. But thanks to Obamacare, we did not have to worry about that anymore. So I'm $1 million man in that regard, that it's cost that much just to
You mean
keep me alive.
in total, right? Not
In
just
total,
for 1 year?
yeah.
Oh, I was going to say.
In total, yes.
So you mean there's a limit on the care they're going to give you?
There used to be before Obamacare.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are a lot of benefits of.
Hey, we have a caller.
Do we want to take it? I
you
think
feeling
it could
lucky?
be. I've been writing a lot about Victoria, Landslide Vicky Sullivan, and
Uh-oh.
they seem to be focusing on me.
Okay.
Is there somebody there? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, who's this?
Well, Mr. Hopwood.
Ah,
Yes.
a fan.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with your guesses between you and me. Because I know I won't be able to see you, maybe.
Oh, Mary, I'll tell you about that. I'll tell you about that after the show. I'll send you the message in 2 hours. I've got your
Because
thing on
what
Facebook.
I want to know who started. I'm getting rumors again that you want to take over my show on Thursday night at 5 o'clock. And it's wrong. I never said I was going to retire. When I do, everybody will know.
There you go. Hey, I'll talk to you in 2 hours.
Because I want to know who started it.
I don't think you would
Started all
even
these
know who
lies.
did it. I'll just say the person was a Republican. I'll get back to you, Mary, okay?
Good thing I'm a Democrat.
And I am too. Bye. Mary, it's just one of those things. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
I'm getting crucified today.
Just your party.
No, you're nothing like your party. I'm nothing like my former party, so there's that.
When did you get into but when did
We're
the
in recovery.
Democrats
When did the
pull
Democrats
you up
come
by
in?
your bootstraps? Or you picked yourself up by the bootstraps?
So obviously, I had to wait to become a registered voter to really be
18.
involved. Although I was a bit active in the high school Democrats, although my school didn't have a chapter, it was.
You're from Amherst.
I am from
which
Amherst,
is
yes.
primarily Republican?
It used to be. It's turned into a swing district, I'd
Oh.
say. It's one of those purple districts, and so to go even back further, I started by running for school board because as a student of Sauhegan, we live in one of the nicest communities, one of the most affluent communities in New Hampshire, yet some of my classrooms did not have heating. They had leaky ceilings. They had collapsible walls that did not work. And, you know,
In Amherst?
in Amherst,
You have the highest school, per student per capita in the state. I know because my sister lives there.
we do, and it's because the current administration doesn't have their priorities right. They believe that putting more administrators at the school district level is what's needed, when really, are students really going to be learning if they have to wear their winter jackets in the middle of winter, or if they have classes canceled because the collapsible walls stuck open or stuck closed in some cases? I've had classes canceled when I was in high school because of this. And I've been bringing up that maintenance issue, and, you know, the school board has gone 15 years without actually properly maintaining our building, and now it's going to cost millions of dollars to the taxpayers because they've been ignoring this issue. So that's when, at 18 years old, a senior in high school, I decided to run for school board because I was tired of it. Students and teachers were not being listened to. So I ran for school board. I told what I just told you to the public, and it shocked a lot of people. And I had the pictures to back me up.
Oh, they don't like pictures.
No, they don't like pictures. I showed it to the education committee the other day, and they were shocked.
You're a
with what they saw.
whistleblower.
I am. That's what I am.
Yeah.
So I ran for school board, obviously 18 years old, still a senior in high school. It was a long shot. But I came in third place out of 4, 200 votes away from winning, so it gave me hope. And it got my message across to a lot of people. And during my campaign, I learned that education funding in New Hampshire is a big issue. It's not just an Amherst issue.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
So-
we're the only state that has like a constitutional case. What's it? What's the town that's is it Colebrook?
No, it's, I should know this.
I should know because I did a show on it. But there's 2 cases
Yes.
about the inequitable funding of schools because of the property tax system. And in any other state I was in outside of New Hampshire, like in New York or California or Massachusetts, and I remember a case in New Hampshire, it would have been rectified. by
So
now.
let me ask this.
was it
Is
Claremont?
Claremont, that is
one
it.
and two.
Yes.
But nothing happens.
No.
22
so
years and
are
nothing
you telling me
happens.
that the pay rate for is per student in each city and it's different?
Oh yeah,
city to
Manchester's
city?
about 10 to 11,000. You guys are about 14 to 15. You and Wyndham were the highest. Then they take some money away from you. There's supposed to be some equalization, but Manchester has one of the lowest
Manchester National.
paying per student than any other place. Goffstown, our next door to the town, is much higher.
Wow, that
'Cause-
seems inequitable.
yeah.
That
Right, and there were
students in
two
New Hampshire
cases-
are not receiving
The New
same
Hampshire
education.
Supreme
It
Court
depends
said
on-
something have to be done, but
Yeah.
nothing is done.
And it's based on property taxes.
Yes, everything,
Property value.
all schools' funding is property taxes,
Yeah.
So
which is really sucks it to people. My mother, who's made $50 a month her entire, $50 a week her entire life, she had her house. She paid higher property taxes than my former father-in-law, who had a house worth 3 times as much in Los Angeles. You know,
And I think the perfect example is, the lakes region where most of the homes on the lakes are secondary homes.
right?
So they can have super low property taxes. They don't have that many students, but they have some of the lowest tax rates in the state. And then you have cities like Manchester and Nashua who, because of the property values, struggle to properly fund education and make it equitable across the state.
As the state legislature downshifts more and more costs onto the local schools districts.
correct.
Yeah.
And that's why I decided to run for state rep, is because this,
Did you win school board?
I did
No.
not win school board.
Yeah.
Sad.
do the schools get federal funding though?
Yeah,
On top
without
of
federal
that?
funding, Manchester would be,
Yeah.
we'd be really hurting. Yeah.
So what's on your 10-year plan? Are you going to be a senator next, or
But you made it. How did you come in? Did you do well? Yeah.
As a state rep,
I had to go through a recount, and I lost to Tammy Simmons, of all people.
if
the,
I recall correctly,
City GOP head.
I won. It's a 3-person district. I came within 75 votes of the 4th place winner. So it was a pretty close race. I was expecting a recount, but they
That's
never
too-
requested one. So
Right, it's got to be like under 10. The
Yeah.
machines really work, unless the ballots were folded, like
Yeah.
in Wyndham.
yeah.
But then you got taken up by the party?
To go back even further, I guess I would say between school board and the November election, it was the primaries. The primaries took place in February, and I was elected to be on the
2020.
delegate selection list for Bernie Sanders.
Oh, that's great.
Although he didn't win enough votes for me to become a delegate automatically, they do what is called the alternative
Yep.
delegate selection, and I was elected alternative delegate for
Did you
Bernie
get to go to the
Sanders.
convention?
I did.
Excellent.
From my home. As
Oh,
everybody
that's
did,
right.
Yeah,
Oh.
because of COVID. And
It's not like the old
I
days.
got
we
to
could-
go to the last one before COVID,
Yeah.
and that was fun.
the old days.
The old days, yeah.
Journalists. Oh, you boozed
years
up
ago.
and free food. Now at Fenway, they charge you $15 for the spread.
Dodgers, yeah,
Oh,
they
that's
charge you.
That's even more.
That's worse.
Unless you know
Between
somebody.
parking, a hot dog, and one beer, you're looking at $60. You know.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's not get into baseball right
No,
now.
no.
So that's how I got into the party, because that's another issue
Were you a star? Did they see? Because you were young. That's something that makes you a star. But
no.
did they have their eye on you for? Did you get a good committee assignment, stuff like that? I mean, if I had gotten elected, I had fallen out with Ray and everybody, Kathy Sullivan, everybody. Although, no, I don't.
You got something against
You know,
Kathy
I
Sullivan?
would
Really?
be.
Thought
No,
she
I
was
don't
the
have
nice
anything
one.
anymore. And I would be. You know, if they had the dog catcher committee, that's what I would have been on. You know, or taking up the garbage committee.
So in the New Hampshire House, they have a seniority system. So as a
Oh.
freshman, I get my last pick.
You got on the veterans committee.
I did.
Everybody,
It was actually my
everybody. That's the last.
Why is
that's
that
the
the
lowest.
last pick?
Nobody gives a damn about veterans. You must know that. You're a
I
vet.
think they do.
They
Well,
talk about it.
We only get, if I'm recalling correctly, we only get like 14 bills a year.
Yeah.
And most of them are unanimous bills brought forward by the Veterans Advisory Committee.
If you're a homeless vet in New Hampshire, you go to Massachusetts. That's where you go. That's the homeless shelter.
I've heard that before.
And they've never done anything, whether the Democrats are in power or Republicans. They've never changed that because they don't want to spend any money.
Congratulations
them
on
down
getting
to
into the House.
Yeah.
See, I
Thank
got
you.
stunted. They denied me a a bank account at Bank of New England. I'm bringing that up again. I'm pissed. So yeah, for being Latina.
Because she went to the bank with her a white guy that's going to run, and they gave him
A bank
you know,
account
you have to have
24 hours.
You have to have like the Friends of John Hopwood
Yeah.
bank account, right?
Yeah.
Which is
So
$21.
congratulations, you made it that far.
So are either of you going to run again?
No.
Oh, I run against Tony Pappas for the county seat because of all the people that die, like in the jail here, the Valley Street jail. But nobody gives a damn. Nobody cares about.
I'm not
county
running
government.
again because I'm making a film, and I think I could do more storytelling than I can as a state rep. There's
Well-
too many rules. There's too many rules.
What's it like inside there?
Yeah, what's it like inside? Tell us.
What drove you to
do you get good food?
declare independence?
You have 2 fans over here, apparently.
We're like,
Groupies.
It's exciting.
So
you
what's it
know?
like in the house?
I only go as a journalist and talk to people I know, you know,
me
that
too.
that did get elected, like your best friend or anything.
I would
Because
say
you couldn't get elected in the district, but they could, you know. How humiliating. Heidi, I love you.
There's no animosity there,
what
though,
is
right?
going
she's like my
on
sister.
with the state house and the N-word, man? Did you hear about
Oh
that?
wow.
Let's go with this thing. That's a whole, we can do a
Okay,
whole
We're
show
gonna
with
get
it.
there.
Okay.
I can assure
That'll
you we'll
be,
get there.
you know, we only got another half hour.
Because it gets into my story. It
Okay,
gets
okay,
connected
I want
at
to hear
some
this.
Okay, let's-
Okay.
But what it's like
Spill
in the
the
state
gossip,
house
Tony.
right now,
Yeah.
it's toxic.
Well, you're in a
'Cause-
minority.
Well, yes, there's that. But I would say that what surprised me the most, because, you know, in New Hampshire we have a citizen-run legislature. You know, my town has three and a half. I always say that because we have a flotarial as well. But we have 3 representatives just for the small town of Amherst. We
and one flotarial.
and one flotarial with Bedford. So I always thought that, you know, we're so close to the people that we're not going to be as corrupt as, you know, the people in D.C. or anything. But no, in my time at the State House, it's all about me, me, me. What will get me reelected? What will get me higher up the totem pole? What will benefit me? Not what will benefit the people. Because when
yeah.
I took the oath of office, I did not take it to my political party. I did not take it for myself. I took it for the United States Constitution, the New Hampshire Constitution, and most importantly, the people of Amherst.
Right.
I'm here to do what is best for the people, not what is best for myself. And I think that's what most politicians don't understand in Concord.
What I hear is that there's only 8 people on both sides of the aisle in the House that have any power at all.
And it's like 400 seats.
400 seats.
Who needs all of those people?
Huge turnover within 2 terms, it's half. Amateurs.
Oh God!
You know,
I came up with a mashup of the best of Al Baldessaro alone. It was like 2 minutes worth of just news clippings. And why do we need all these people? All these
But I have a
figures?
question. If, let's say, for example, when you're running, don't they fund your campaign?
oh well, that's I
The
never get it
parties?
done.
Yes.
So, yes, in my specific case,
Young Democrats.
I was still on good terms with Ray Buckley before last year's leadership election.
Uh-oh.
And so my district, as I said, is a purple district.
Yeah.
So the party put it on a priority list. So
Yeah.
we got a lot of attention from the
Lucky.
party. We got a lot of support from the party. But now that I voted against Ray last year in the chairman election,
You've been frozen out.
yes, I've been
Oh.
cut out of the party.
Yeah.
So, like I said, what has the party ever done for me?
What
You
have
know?
you
Well,
done
we
for
just
me
asked you,
lately?
did they give you any money? The Young Democrats give you any money?
The Young Democrats,
Who are supposedly not a part of the Democratic Party, but they're right there.
they're adjacent. I
Yeah,
would
they-
say I had an amazing relationship with the Young Democrats just because, obviously, the
You're a
youngest
young
Democrat.
Democrat.
You fit the demographic.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, if you're 40, you're still a Young Democrat.
Nuh-uh. The
39?
cutoff is 39. Once you hit 40, you're too old.
I didn't consider myself young at 39, but I do now at 62, you know, at 39.
I had such a good relationship with the Young Dems that I actually thought that I could continue caucusing with them after I
I
changed
know, me
parties,
too,
but
yeah.
seems
so
that
much.
they all took it personally. And even one of the leaders of the Young Democratic Caucus called me the night that the news broke of my departure and called on me to resign. And I
Why? What's the point?
they said, quote, "Are you doing this for yourself? You're so selfish.
Oh my God.
If you don't want to be part of the party because you think it's corrupt and you think the entire system's corrupt, why don't you just leave and
Oh.
resign?"
That's not the answer.
And it's like, I'm here, like I said earlier, I'm here not for the party. I don't care if my departure hurts the party because I'm exposing
How
the
many
truth.
Twitter followers have you lost since you left?
I want to say about 50.
Okay,
But
that's-
I've been
I only
gaining.
have 50. Is that?
I lose some. Like I'll see notifications you got a new follower, but it stays the same amount of followers.
Yeah.
So I know that I've still gained some just from that. But there's a lot of people that unfollowed me because
Do you
of that.
think you're in jeopardy to not get reelected because of this decision, though?
Could be.
Part-
but-
we got a
That's-
lot of work to do with the third party.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
because you guys were talking about that before you came here, Tony, about independence and whether
She,
it,
Robin's.
yeah, why don't you be whether being an independent will help you in a purple district or a district. You had the story about
Well, that's-
Dover and the Democrat in Dover, and you're never going to get elected as a Democrat in Dover.
No, Derry.
Or
Derry.
Londonderry. Yeah,
Derry.
Derry.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was
Dover
saying-
you would.
I was saying that Derry is so highly Republican that if you're a Democrat, it's very difficult to run in Derry. So would you be better off maintaining your status as a Democrat or going independent? Would that help you? And I'm thinking in a place like Amherst or Derry, it would be more beneficial. I'm just worried about, not worried, but my question would be about funding for your campaign. I assume it's expensive.
So there's a lot to unpack there. Just
Sorry.
first
we have
off,
time. You can always come back.
yes. First off, I'm not running again. That was part of my decision.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, because I'll explain myself.
Couldn't stand the BS.
So I had been renting a room at my parents' house since I graduated high school. But being a young progressive gay representative got me a lot of negativity, and there had been a lot of harassment. There had been
In
people.
Amherst?
Yes, in Amherst, I had suspicious vehicles outside my house. A lot of hatred. People were burning. One incident is during the last school board election last year. One of my supporters put a Tony sign in their lawn, and that night their pride flag got burnt on their property.
Well, I gotta say, in Manchester and Bedford, there were some people that, signs being destroyed and disappearing and everything. That just was part of the fun, you know what I mean?
I bet
And it
from the
wasn't
Democratic
fun,
Party,
but,
probably.
so that's part of it too. And when a guy here that was the notorious sign destroyer went from Manchester to Bedford, suddenly everybody's saying, if they were Republicans, everybody's Republican, he's destroying our signs, and we're Republicans. So that is kind of it, but it doesn't feel good when it's being done to you. Yeah.
Well, I signed up for this. I
And-
was expecting something.
Were you a lifelong resident of Amherst?
I moved to Amherst in 2014 in 7th grade. Before then, I lived in Nashua. Nashua was my hometown. I always like
too.
to say
you going back?
it's such a beautiful town.
You're going back to Nashua?
No, my parents ended up selling the house in Amherst because of the harassment that we've been getting.
It was that bad?
It was that bad, yeah. And relates to why I left the party. So all of this stuff had been going on. The pride flag being burnt, the Facebook harassment, going after my family and everything. And I texted Ray Buckley personally. I texted his number and I said, Ray, I'm dealing with so much harassment right now and I need help. You have more experience than me. Can you help me out? And his response was, I'm busy. Send me an email. So I sent an email. I even had the pictures of the pride flag burnt. I had pictures. I had evidence. I had a whole paragraph explaining my situation. I sent it to Chairman Buckley, and I sent it to the party office.
Chairman Buckley is his Twitter handle. Yeah.
Yeah.
At Chairman Buckley.
Yeah, at Chairman Buckley.
Never heard back. Not
Crickets.
even a word. Not even
Would you talk to him now if you could?
I would, but I don't think he ever would want to talk to me again.
You never know.
I had him on for the film for a interview, and he was talking about his experiences growing up a gay man in the in the 60s and 70s and how hard that was. So hearing you talk about present day really blows my mind that he didn't call you back.
I was surprised too because before, like I said, last 2021 NHDP officer elections, before that I had gotten along great
right,
with
because
him.
you voted against him.
Yeah,
Right.
and all votes are public in the NHDP, which is a whole separate issue, undemocratic. But
Oh, yeah,
I
I've
was
been there.
surprised too
I couldn't
because
vote.
he had done so much. Just reading his Wikipedia page, he's a trailblazer for young LGBT officials like myself. But
Oh, and he was a real aggressive barn burner type. When he was an alderman here, like when they went after my friend Bill Cashin, who, if you go to the chamber, has this big thing. he was the one who fought, was fighting for him and that. And him and Kathy Sullivan, they brought the Manchester Democratic Party out of nothingness,
That's what we
even
could
though
do
this
with
was
the
a
independent
Democratic
party.
city. And then they took over the the New Hampshire party. And there seems to be a Manchester bias up there, because they're from
It's true,
Manchester. So they did, because I fought them many times and everything before from the taunt, because I'm not going to run for anything again. And I've had things done to me because that's part of politics. But yeah, they really did a lot. So I'm just saying this. Yeah, but in your situation.
Yeah, it seems that he cares more about himself and his power. That he doesn't care about me, but he doesn't even care about the state level politics. He only cares about the federal delegation and the federal delegation because they get money, they get the donations. But for us, he doesn't care if the state house is
Why do you think
Republican.
that is? Because the New Hampshire primary.
We pick your president.
I realized after getting here that the New Hampshire primary, which I loved, my first one was 68. First one I voted when was 80, because 76 I was involved, and the 72. And then you realize it so dominates things here, because it is harder for a political party to get on the ballot in New Hampshire 10 times more than to get on the party in California. California, you have like 5 parties. You got Peace and Freedom, Green, which I was briefly because I was mad at them for a while, and Democrats, Republicans, and there's like another party. And it's very rare for a Green or a Peace and Freedom.
Yeah.
Occasionally, get like in Berkeley, will get elected, but they can be on the ballot. They've been on the ballot for years. Even the Libertarians here cannot stay on the ballot. It's 10 times harder, and I think that's because the New Hampshire primary. You got to have the 2 parties. You got your independents, but you're one or the other, because that is a big industry. And so I started realizing this really F-words things up here. Because then I realized, because Kathy Sullivan and Ray Buckley, I used to be really mad at them for the stuff you're saying. Then I realized when that primary is the tail that wags the dog, if they're going to keep that and do what they can to keep that primary. And if they didn't, yeah,
And
we gave the country Trump. That's indisputable. And there's other things what happened, but I'm just saying, yeah, their role is more primary towards, like you said, the federal and that
So you just have to talk over him whenever you got to make a point.
yeah.
I was just going to say, I thank you for bringing that up, and it goes back to your point about, is it better to be an independent?
Yeah, let's go to that.
It's the system. I just testified on 2 bills last week. In New Hampshire, it's impossible for third parties to even be on the ballot and even have a chance to run. So there's an independent in my district who I hope takes my seat next year. She has to raise 150 signatures, 150 nomination papers, I should say. And, the issue of funding is one. How is she going to get her signs, her internet presence, and all that? The system is built just to have 2 parties in New Hampshire. And
Yes.
I testified in front of the committee last week to lower the barriers for third parties and independents to be on the ballot, and it was bipartisan backlash.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's like anathema, curse on you. How dare you attack this?
Yep.
And it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
How much does it cost on average to run an election?
So
At least 2,000.
yeah, in
At
my
least
case, it was
2,000?
about $2,000 to run a campaign.
Sign.
Signs. I did a lot of Facebook ads just because it was the pandemic. And that's another thing, is that independent candidates and third-party candidates don't have the necessarily free resources we get from the party, because the party gave me, mailers. They gave me access to the voter database.
Yeah,
Independents
that
don't
is
have that.
critical. We used to have to threaten them to get it
Yeah.
because we were just flunkies. This is before I had my falling out.
So that's why so many people don't want to be independent.
You're forced to run
You
as one of
can't.
2 parties.
It's kind of career suicide.
Yeah.
It's like the Free Staters came here. But then again, they will either go with the Democrat or the Republican, whether the district is more. Which Matt Conlon's girlfriend Jenny came here as a Free Stater. she would want to be an independent, but she can't. So she's a Republican. That would be the natural home. But they've taken over the Republican Party. The Republican Party that my mother voted for, and Lou D'Alessandro was a Republican, and then he came back to New Hampshire after years, and he's a Democrat. Right.
I always wonder, and this is maybe a good question for you, how did you pick your party affiliation at such a young age?
I would say that primarily it was, obviously my parents were both Democrats, but for me personally, making up my own mind, like I said, it was mostly Bernie Sanders' footsteps I followed, and I'm following today as an independent just because I see that there's systemic failures in both parties. But when it came to picking a party to run on, I read all the party platforms, including the Libertarian, Democrat, and Republican one, and, obviously in the Republican platform it says that gays should not marry, and as a gay man I strongly disagree with that.
Really? It still says that?
It still says
Really?
that, yep.
So if they say like Tammy Simmons, who was the city GOP, who I've had many conflicts with, we from the same ward.
What about the law?
She voted to keep gay marriage, so as a libertarian.
It still shocks me today because
Yeah.
Trump ran on saying I love gay people and all that, but the platform, like when you actually read the platform, it still says we believe in traditional marriage between a man and a woman, and it should stay like that and overturn Obergefell versus Hodges, if that's the court case that legalized gay marriage. And yeah.
Wow.
Well,
I think-
passed the law of gay marriage here.
I think that's sort of
why.
why a lot of the younger generation are leaning Democratic, because they view the Republican Party as antiquated, old, non-binding.
Robin's son is leaning toward Democrat, and she's a Republican.
My son's a Democrat. But
Well, here's the thing. You talk about Bernie Sanders. In Vermont, you have actually, there's only 150 people in the state legislature. They're actually paid a real wage. And there are Democrats, Republicans, and 3 independent parties. And at times, because Bernie Sanders, when my father lived in Burlington in 74, ran under something called the Liberty something party.
Liberty Union.
He was a Liberty Union, a socialist. But they have the party that came out of that has people in both the Senate and the House, and they share party with the Democrats.
Yeah.
I mean, when I came back to New Hampshire in 2010, I expected New Hampshire to have, there'd be like 50 libertarians, there'd be like a Green Party and that. And I was shocked.
And that's a great point because
I was shocked.
it's the two-party system is just a systemic failure. Let's just say it like that.
It is, yes.
You only have bad and worse. Those are your options.
Yeah.
Okay? You can't not vote for somebody you truly believe in. You have to choose for who's going to not hurt me as much. So what I believe in and what I believe we need to do is just abolish the two-party system.
Absolutely.
And
I
move
agree.
towards a proportional system.
I agree with you totally.
Yeah.
But the thing is, our
Who's
country.
gonna, how are they going to make money off of us if we do that?
Yeah. And the system I always point to is Germany's, where they vote for their local representatives, but then on the same ballot it says, what party do you most agree with?
Yeah.
And then they make their legislature proportional to that. So let's say, in this case,
The percentage of vote the party gets.
yeah, liberals get 20% of the vote, they'll get 20% of the seats. And I took their model, I took the data from the last elections, and I'll just use 2016 as an example. In New Hampshire, libertarians won 3 or 4% of the vote across the state. If we had a proportional representation system, that would entitle them to 16 seats in the New Hampshire House. How many did they have? 0 at election, and 3 because Republicans switched parties.
And if there was a proportional system, people would actually vote for libertarians knowing they could get in.
Tony,
Yeah.
the moment when you said you had enough of the Democratic Party, wasn't it like a second coming out?
I would say yes, because I've always believed the two-party system's
Yeah.
bad. Since 8th grade, I've seen that there's just been systemic failure. And we can't change anything about our country without addressing electoral reform, our election system, because under the current system, it's always the special interests, because there's only 2. So there's no, independent or third party that isn't corrupt that you can vote for.
We have a phone call. Hi, welcome to Wpyp-Tv. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
I thought it was a recording.
You're on the air.
I am robotic.
Is this like a psychic, like Norm?
No, that is at 5 o'clock.
Oh, that's at 5 o'clock?
Yes.
All right.
Is there there's something you'd like us to predict the future? We have Gracie here, who's, can I out you as a witch?
Yes, I'm a witch.
Do you have anything to?
Yeah.
It's
I
live.
don't know. Maybe you can predict it. What happened?
Well, 5 o'clock. Norm's friends will be on, and I'm sure they can help. Thank you very much for calling.
In
All right,
15
thank
minutes.
you.
Yeah. See, live TV is, you should have seen things that have happened here. And when I was on at night, it was even worse.
But another aspect of that is, or a problem as you identify, is people tell you to vote straight ticket. Like, that's the mindset of so many people.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not voting for the best candidate. You're simply voting red.
There's some horrible Democrats that I've met.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have met. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you register for the primary, you have to declare which party, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end, you have to switch back to undeclared so that in the end, you sort of get
Right.
a say, right?
So for 2 minutes, you are the party. If
yeah.
You're an independent.
So, but like the thing is, people don't know that you're supposed to switch after, or that you can switch.
That happened to
And there's
Norm.
time limits.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it in time, then you can't get out. So if you want to switch parties, you may want to.
I voted for John Huntsman in the 2012 Republican primary because I interviewed him 5 times. He should be like the head of the Republican Party, a vastly intelligent person, compassionate and all that. And of course, God knows where he was. They stuck him in Russia as the ambassador, And for 2 minutes I was a Republican, but because I knew Obama was going to win, So I had the advantage of after, that's the only Republican I voted for in like 20 years. I voted for a couple of local Republicans. We used to have Irene Messier, who was liberal, but a Republican. 'Cause there used to be liberal Republicans.
Her last name is Messier?
Yeah, Messier. Or Messier.
Oh.
But she was liberal, like Lou D'Alessandro was a liberal Republican. There used to be Rockefeller Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
The Republicans used to be
He used to
Same.
be something. Yeah. Same. Yeah.
They were respected. Warren Rudman was my senator, was in the Army. One of the great senators, respectable man.
I think there's a lot of work to do in both parties, and I think you've identified several reasons why.
And they don't like dealing with people with an IQ over 75. So.
And I
The-
think-
75, you're being very generous.
But I think our ideas would hurt them financially in the long run, and that's why.
It is a business. They are private corporations.
Every time you go there, you see lobbyists there, and it's like, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. In the State House, they're walking around with their yellow badges.
We're going to become lobbyists. You too.
Yeah.
You should. They make a lot of money.
You got to come back next week. I agree with you totally about the proportional representation. Oh, that's great.
I could speak for hours about my ideas about electoral reform.
Well,
It's just-
We need
then
we
I
need
won't
something
show
for the third
up.
party.
You can take it. We'll have Gracie here.
Yeah, I'll take over.
Because I'll start talking about what happened in 1963.
Yeah, then
Oh,
we're
they
I'm
do.
going
They
to
do.
back to present day. So
Yeah, you have to keep a tight rein on
And they
it.
like to talk about witches.
Well,
Salem.
I don't see why
No,
witches
don't get
shouldn't
started.
have their own party. But I want, if we had a parliamentary system, and Howard Zinn always said we'd been better off when we lost the revolution, and I had a great grandfather that fought in that too. We'd been better off because, like Canada, we'd have a parliament. And I would like to be able to vote for a party that actually represents what I think. I would vote for a social democrat, a Bernie Sanders
Yeah,
type
exactly.
of party. Like the New Democrats
Yeah.
in Canada, which.
when
but
I voted for
can't.
Hillary, I did
Yeah.
need a shower. I did.
To vote,
You
you
voted
have to
for
have
Hillary?
a chance to be in the government. I voted for Hillary. It's
There's
like
no
one of those-
choice. One or
what are
the
you
other.
gonna do?
Ugh.
And I actually had met her a few times.
yeah, I didn't vote
Is she
for
nice?
Oh yeah, she's a lot nicer in person.
Oh,
She's one of those people like Al Gore and John Kerry. On
Robin's
TV,
got a story.
It's like,
I'll
Okay,
tell
let's
it
go.
after. No.
oh, you got a Clinton story.
She's got a Hillary Clinton.
I didn't want to share it right now.
I know. Okay.
but,
Okay.
I have some that I can't share.
You have something you can't share. Well,
You're there. Politics. You're there. You're not
Yeah.
supposed to talk about what goes on, or you wouldn't be in the room. When I'm old and have Alzheimer's, it'll all come out.
I met John McCain. He was Very nice.
I also met Johnny McCain when I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He betrayed John Huntsman, but that's another story. He was like a grenade with they have a spoon on it. They pull the thing out and the spoon's off. I mean, I respect him and everything. And, I'm PTSD. And I'm up there with Pete. He definitely is, the trauma that man went through. And how
Yeah,
Trump
he was a
treated-
POW.
Yeah.
for
During
6
Vietnam,
or
like-
7 years.
Yeah,
He
Hanoi
got
Hilton.
beat. That's why his.
They would not
Job.
allow. He had the chance to get out of
That
there.
was a
'cause his
real Republican.
father was a 4-star admiral, but he didn't take it. But
A very honorable man.
yeah, and he was treated very badly. But we won't say who. But I used to have a Trump. I gave my Trump necktie to Norm, the psychic.
Oh, the one that passed away.
Yeah.
Well, luckily your office is right near the Trump rally. You're in
Oh,
walking
I've
distance.
covered Trump rallies. He doesn't know when to shut up.
Sounds familiar.
I'm going to tell you.
Somebody should take his Twitter away.
It's the same with everybody. You go and cover governor, rep, federal rep, or senator, or vice president, or the president. It's always the same. Oh my God, you're going to get 20 minutes out of a rep or a governor. Senator is going to give you a half hour. And the vice president will go for a half hour, 40 minutes. But a president, usually, they put about 45 or 50 minutes. They don't go the full hour. But he'd go for 2 hours. It's like, how much can I take this? With people, you're in the press gallery, giving you although it was all in good fun, really, because on the camera they're
He does a
and
great
then they're
job
like
at his
smiling at
rallies,
you.
though.
No,
afterwards.
my friends invited me to a Trump rally just for the pure entertainment factor of
You
it.
should go. That's what I'm saying.
It is something you've never seen before.
It is.
Because he's really,
He's funny. Like you
played-
will find yourself cracking up at the things he says.
he's a New Yorker. It's all BS. He's trying to tell. He's trying to.
He's playing 3-card Monte with you.
Oh yeah, every
He's-
New Yorker
He's
is
an excellent
busting
public
here.
speaker, though. I never would have thought
Bill
that.
Clinton was an excellent.
No.
Ronald Reagan was one. Too.
No, Obama was hands down, I think, the best.
Michelle. Oh,
Yeah.
she was great.
You know who was
too.
the worst? Bush.
I've never.
The W?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was the worst.
Hey, we got to wrap up here, but Tony, you come back. I won't be here, so you actually can get a word in. So, but geez, it's so great to meet you because we didn't get around to talking about the independence because there's some good points. I hope you succeed. You're staying in New Hampshire?
I'm applying for college in Quebec at the moment, just because.
Which
it
one?
costs so
That
much
was-
money. McGill.
Oh,
in
McGill's
Montreal.
a great
Yeah.
school. That's all.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
You certainly have the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, McGill's a superb school.
What are you majoring in?
Political
Poli sci?
science. Yep.
So we'll see you probably in the Canadian circles,
Well,
government.
You have
I'll
to go-
just see where college takes me. You
Yeah.
know, I don't know if I'll come back to New Hampshire or never know what happens in college.
See, New Hampshire, the state itself, is great for exports, not good for imports.
No, yeah, all of my friends have left New Hampshire and they're not coming back.
Yeah. So
I
once
left,
you
but I
make,
got sucked back. But it was a vortex.
I got
It was a
sucked back
vortex,
too.
yeah.
Family
Oh, yeah.
court.
Well, that's from being witches, We're
Here they
sensitive
go
on
again
that.
with the witchcraft.
If only we could put the hexes on these people. Not you. I mean, people that.
The
Yeah,
family
I'd have
court.
put some hexes on the New Hampshire Democrats, but
I know exactly
I've
who.
mellowed out.
Yeah, in the Democratic Party.
He's mellowed out, he says.
They never helped me at all, and they'd actually do stuff to interfere with you. But hey, that's you've learned a great lesson in life, huh?
I have.
Early on too.
Very young. Never trust a politician.
And good for you for making a bold stance and coming out and saying,
I actually
This is what I
verbally
stand
cheered
for.
for you in my
Thank you.
chair when I was on Twitter. Yeah, another one came out. Woo!
The
What
thing
it was.
is, this is principled too.
Yeah.
It's not just It's just not a tiff or something.
Yeah.
You're principled. You've seen that this democracy
And you
isn't
see
working.
that the state house is full of narcissism.
Yeah, there's
Jesus.
people using their positions just to move up the ladder, and it's just a toxic environment. And that's actually why one of my best friends in the house resigned early, was because she was going to go to independent with me, but just the backlash from the Democratic Party, she couldn't handle it, and she resigned completely. So
wow.
we were going to have a 3-person independent caucus, but
All
Oh,
these,
that would've been
all
cool.
these young people.
yeah.
I
No.
call it the Concord Clown College because
Yeah.
it really is.
No, I think that if you guys would have stuck around, I mean, this is what the adults in the room need. You know.
But how much of that can you take? you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, look at the abuse he suffered.
Yeah, already.
All
Yeah,
for
we
what?
totally understand.
Yeah,
Oh,
part
look
of why.
at, hey, look at the story you got to tell up in McGill.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That one time.
In French, en français.
En français, oui.
Français.
Hey, we got like a couple minutes to wrap up. We're all we're all going on Matt Connaughton's show on
I'm not.
You're not. Why
I'm
not?
sorry.
She has
Childcare.
Childcare.
Well, you're going to come back to the show like in 2
Absolutely.
weeks. Yeah, because what were you going to talk about in 2 weeks, Gracie?
Oh,
The movie.
the movie. Yes, things are getting interesting with the film. So,
Corruption.
oh yeah, it's called Corrupt as F
Hmm?
movie.com. So we're working on a saner title because the New Hampshire bubble doesn't like it. They're too Puritan.
Very conservative.
Very conservative. It tested well everywhere else, but
Get to New Hampshire, very different.
or they're like, no, actually, it's not. Yeah, but anyway, things are getting heated and interesting. I started really doing some digging into the corruption in the state house
Yeah.
and the lobbyists and how that whole thing unravels and how
Yeah.
that works. And none of it's cool. And my goal, we have a couple minutes. My goal for the film is to show the dark, shady side of how things are, and it does look grim, but my hope, and just the Pollyanna in me, is hoping that if
A
we
New
can,
Hampshire creation, Pollyanna.
yeah, Pollyanna.
Yep.
But I'm hoping that if we show everything on the cards to the viewer, they can make up their own decision. And do you want to be a part of this? Do you want this to keep going, or can we move forward?
Well, we're going to move this conversation to Matt Connaughton Unleashed, WMNH 95.3 FM, and we'll see you next week.
The bit.